Is Monday, January 27th at 7:15 PM. This meeting is being recorded and broadcast via our local cable access channel, WCAT, on Zoom, on Facebook, and YouTube. If anyone in the audience is recording, please let us know. Before you speak, tell us your name and who you're with, who you represent. And we will start with the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have an A&R.
Good evening, my name's Joseph Levesque, I'm the surveyor that prepared this plan. The current landowner at this property is Brian Corview. The address is 132 Crouch Road here in Warren. And what they're proposing to do is, right now Brian owns approximately, I think it's about 17 acres of land with about 300 feet of frontage. And what we're doing is creating a single building lot with the required 150 feet of frontage, and it's approximately 7 acres.
Okay,
The remaining land has 150.14 feet, so about 2 inches more than required for frontage, and we're leaving them with 11.3 acres.
good.
So this stone wall here is the one side of Brian's property, comes up, it's very steep, way back here, it's very steep and ledgy. This is the new line that we're putting in right down here. So this is the
I was gonna say,
new
keep this
7
real
acre lot.
interesting if you need a little handle.
Yeah, so, if you, I don't know if you were involved, there was a little discussion about making this a rear lot with the 50-foot provision.
Yeah,
The problem with doing that was when we went through, spent a lot of time looking at the calculations. If you go through your requirements, you know, you can't begin your 200-foot building setback until you meet that 150-foot frontage requirement. So that would put the 150 like way back here, and then when we offset that line 200 feet, the house can't be built till back here. Really, the optimal place is to put the house in this area, right about where that 150 line would have been, because it starts to get too steep and ledgy back here.
So you're doing this as a buildable lot. How are you gonna run a driveway through there?
And so it does, on paper, it might look a little funky, but that's really the only place you can put the driveway. And that was one of the considerations we looked at, because if you go through your rear lot provisions, you can't have more than a 10% grade. So this was, route of travel, there's already a path basically that kind of comes down here, maybe an ATV or walking path. And it is relatively flat. It doesn't, we don't ever exceed that 10%. And we did that by design because we were trying to do the rear lot design, and we didn't want them to be more than a 10% grade. So from the street to back here, right in here is where it really kind of comes, it does come up, you know, slowly in elevation, but once you get to here, it kind of flattens out. But back here, it really starts to pick up and get really steep, I'd say right around in this area. There's a large ledge face all back here.
And did you check with the building inspector at all? On this versus the rear lot? You didn't?
Well, there's no width requirement.
Well, there is when you want a driveway,
You're
because you have to maintain
Yes.
a distance away from
10 feet.
other
I think
people's
it was
property.
10 or 12 feet. We looked at that.
Yeah,
If we had, you can check it out, but
Yeah.
we did check that out. I think it's a certain distance from the edge of the driveway to the property line.
Okay.
And how far are you away from the property line with the driveway?
They're gonna have to center it in that, so that's a 50-foot wide neck right there. The driveway will have to be centered to meet that.
Because you need it.
Zoning requirement.
How wide's your driveway gonna be? Because it has to be
If
wide
you
enough
look
for
at your- I
emergency
think-
vehicles.
No, I understand that. if you look at your zoning requirement, for the rear lot, I think you were requiring a 16-foot wide driveway if it was a rear lot. And then your other requirement was it had to be 50 feet. Then the other thing we looked at was, I think it was 10 feet. It was like 10 or 12 feet you have to have from the edge of the driveway to the property line. So even if this was a rear lot, which it's not, because we made it 150, it all worked. Even if it was 16 feet wide, but most driveways are 12 feet wide.
But your narrow is fucking,
Yep, that's right in the
I'm
middle.
just, I'm just
of
telling you,
26
we don't grant driveways, and if you don't have the lot size for a driveway,
Yeah.
Jeremy Olson won't give you your permit,
Yep,
so.
but we
So the
we checked
rear-
it out. It was gonna work when it was required to be 16, but I think because it's not a rear lot, it could be 12.
So the rear lot basically lets you have less frontage.
Right,
So you need at least 50, where you've got 150, which is what's required.
right, and that's for 100 feet back off the road. Then it does bottleneck down.
Okay. I mean, I guess, yeah, if you,
You got a driveway size though?
I don't know that we have anything, this,
I think in that rear lot, it was requesting 16 feet, right?
I don't see, unless it's lower down. Oh, wait, right in here. So 50 feet. Oh, right here. Access drive is a minimum of 16 feet. Maximum grade of 10%.
And then if you go, I don't think it's in that section, but if you go through, it was either 10 or 12 feet, that I think the side of the driveway has to be from the property line. So if you just, let's just take the rear lot, you have to be at least 50 feet, all the way from the frontage, all the way
Yeah.
to where it opens up, then you can't be less than 50, so
Oh,
obviously you
yeah,
have to
right,
have a
right.
driveway in there. So even if the driveway was 16 feet, then you have 10 and 10, that's only 36, so you got an extra 14 feet with the 50-foot width there.
Okay.
But
But you
I
can't get a
understand
50,
what you're saying. He'll have to make sure it's in the middle.
and you can't get your 50-foot width on that little part that gets narrow, then, right? That's not 50 feet.
We can, so this is, I mean, I could explain to you what you were concerned about, there's a couple things. So when, we wanted to originally do the rear lot, under your zoning, the way that I interpret it, is that we would have to come in here for a special permit, which would be
Yeah, so-
subject to a public hearing, which is fine, but, you know, we would have to apply for a public hearing, come in here, have the session, and then come back, I guess, 2 weeks later, and then do the A&R. They didn't wanna wait, they wanna kinda get moving now, so they said, you know what, we'll just do the 150.
Okay, all right.
So that's why we increased it to 150.
All right, I mean,
And, but even a bigger problem, like I explained before, was, in my opinion, the lot does open. If I do like a funky line, like right in here, I can show it to you guys if you wanna have us talk about it quickly. If I drew a line like right in here, I believe I have to 150, but right here bottlenecks back to the 50. So I'm like, I don't think they're gonna allow you to start that 150 and then offset to 200 feet.
so that's where you're back up in here somewhere.
Yeah, so now you gotta do the 150 here and have the 200 way back here, and the house, it's just, this isn't where you wanna put the house on the side.
Okay. All right, so you end up sacrificing a little bit of this land to get your 150 here.
Right. Because
This
the
is
other
the other
thing,
lot, right? This
Yeah.
is the lot that's being divided.
and then just to give you a little more information, Mr. Corview didn't wanna push the line further this way, like the house is probably over here. He didn't wanna push here, cause right in here roughly is a well for his house, he has a well shed there.
Okay.
And I guess it's a shallow well. He had concerns about contamination, he wanted to keep everything away, so that's why the line stayed tight to
Okay.
this side.
Maybe looking where it is on French Road.
Okay. Right, and next to it is that little strip that's ours, right? It goes up to the.
Yes,
That's the
yep.
thing we
Town
were
of-
talking about
Town of Warren's right
2
here.
weeks ago or whatever.
Well, apparently we own property over Court Hill.
Oh, we do?
Yeah.
Cool.
Didn't know about that either. Somebody brought it up and it's like, look, it says Town of Warren. I'm like, oh. Nice.
All right, does anyone want to do a motion?
So I'll make a motion to approve the A and R for, what is it?
Brian Corvo?
Brian Corvo, for map 6, lot 48. Is that what we're doing? 132 Crouch Road.
Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Derek Bailey's aye.
Virginia, aye.
David Dufresne, aye.
Richi Hacker, aye. All right, you have your A and
You first.
R. Okay. What is the date today?
It is the 27th of January. Should keep having to remind myself.
Do now.
Where about in here? Towards the bottom, towards the housing.
My friend run up to the truck, I
development
just brought
back
it
there.
along.
Apparently there's a pond back there or anything. A friend of mine brought it up and showed me. Oh. Apparently we own land in Berlin, Mass too or something?
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
It's property of Warren. They literally, they asked us, a while back, they asked us about it. Like, how do we own property in another town?
I guess we could just buy it, or maybe somebody willed it, like in an estate or something? Huh.
Set up shop over there.
Sound like us.
And Joe does have a second A&R, he just grabbed the wrong
Oh, he
plan, so
does?
he just popped out to his truck to
Oh.
get the correct plan.
Wow, okay.
It's a busy man in the town. Just 3 copies? Was it just 3?
Yes.
Alright, I think Derek still needs to sign that one.
Nope, hold on.
Yep, one more
Derek needs to
set.
sign. What I'd like to see someday is, like, just a map of all the little miscellaneous properties that the town owns,
Yeah.
so we can see where they are.
If you go on the Warren GIS system, I think you can do it. It might not be very detailed, but if you just search Town of Warren, it should highlight.
Yeah, I was gonna say, on the GIS, you can search by owner.
Yep, it'll work.
Wow, look at all that. Well, there you go. There's your.
Jeez, there we go. And then realize we learned so much.
You guys actually have one of the better GIS systems.
Look at all of it.
Just counting signatures before I hand it back to you.
Thank you.
And paper.
Yeah, that's how you search them.
Just steal a little part of your desk.
All right. Not a problem.
Yeah, all this right here.
Only two done.
All right, so
Didn't get the third one
number 2.
up. Again, my name's Joseph Levesque. I'm the surveyor that prepared this A&R plan. This is for William Rogers at the intersection of Southbridge Road and Brookfield Road.
Mhm.
Oh, well.
Yeah, he's a great guy, so, right now, right at that corner of those two roads, there's a 50-acre lot. So what Mr. Rogers wants to do is we're putting the house and the barn and stuff on one lot, and then we're creating 2 additional lots, so basically, we broke that 50 acres up into 3 lots.
Okay,
So, the first lot that's closest to Croton Road has the minimum 150 feet of frontage and 9.3 acres. Then the lot with the house and the barn and the cow barn, that has 2,435.91 feet of frontage and is 19.1 acres. And then, right on the Brookfield, Warren line, there's a third lot with 218.5 feet of frontage and 21.4 acres.
He's not doing his farming anymore?
According to Mr. Rogers, the state has really cracked down on the regulations with selling milk,
Hmm.
and he can't sell it from his property direct anymore. And I guess the group he was selling it to, they added more regulations, and he's having a hard time selling to the distribution group he was doing
Yeah,
lots
it's
of
like
farming with,
Agrimart or something. Cabot.
which is crazy, because
Yeah.
if you go on the state website, there's all these programs and grants, like, we're trying to encourage farming, but then there's all these.
They make
rules
it
about
so
what you
hard.
can- Yeah, they're just making it too hard, and he said he's just done, he doesn't want to do it anymore.
Wow.
So, he's like a generational milk farmer too.
He is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. So, yeah, so he's prepping this to sell at some point, huh?
Yeah, so his plan was, he owns this lot just on the Brookfield side, it's a big, like, 40-acre lot. I think the plan is to move over here and build a house over here, and then he's gonna sell this off. It's a great lot, most of it is really flat, and most of it's obviously out of the house.
Yeah. I'd hate to do this. You know,
Guy's gonna survive.
he's gotta survive. Yeah, I understand it. It just,
Yeah, it sucks, I love the farm, man.
I love that farm, yeah. Jeez. It's not easy work either. He's
No.
probably one of the toughest people I know.
Yeah.
So, he's a tough
Yeah,
man.
beats on your body after a while, huh?
God.
And then who's gonna take it over, right? Like, how do you?
This
sell-
kid.
Does he want to, that's the thing.
Well, I know it's out of your town, but, just a little further this way, you have the Cheney farm, right? The old
Yeah.
Cheney apple, I mean, they're trying to unload that right now.
We've been trying to unload that for years.
Well, there's a guy interested, so that's, gonna be gone soon, so.
Wow.
That's
I
a
remember
nice
when
piece
they
of
removed
property.
all the apple trees,
Hmm,
because they plucked all the apple trees individually and sold off all the trees.
yeah.
So, yeah, there's, this is the frontage here, just about 70 feet away from the Crum Road intersection, the 9-acre lot. And then all of this frontage along here, and the cow barn, the barn, and the house. And then he said he's already put like some kind of barn or storage shed up here, he's gonna build a house over here eventually. And there's another building lot here.
Okay, all right. Well, for a motion?
Yeah, I hate to do it, but
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve the A&R for William P. Rogers on 2301 Southbridge Road, which is Assessor's Map 12, Lot 47.1.
Second.
All in favor? Derek Bailey's aye.
David Dufresne, aye.
Richi Hacker, aye.
Put a sad face
Yeah. Big sad face on that.
It's hard not to cash in, I mean, man, it's just,
Oh, I know,
Price of land is just through the roof right now,
right.
Well, that's his value, right?
you know? Yeah.
Yeah, but that's all you have to your name right now too, is that land. But he's also, people don't get any younger.
Yeah.
No, we don't, do we?
I keep hoping I'll hit a certain age and I'll start getting younger. Is that not how it works?
Well, you know how that works.
Are my, are my knees never gonna feel better?
Oh, the hand
Yeah.
surgery they can do. You'll be like new.
I'll be bionic, better than I ever was.
Yes, I do. Yeah, but it's, all about- Good, can I take a bomb?
I do. As long as blue is okay with you.
Yep.
So 23 is one, it's gonna be.
Do you want, oh yeah, because it's a lot, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's this one?
23 and one's gonna be one, for 3 months, 150.
150?
Yeah, that's 50 off one straight.
Pays are 27?
27, yep, and just a ton over.
And the other one's 75?
One.
100 for, okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Thanks so much. I think, could we just have a brief discussion about the rear lots?
Yeah, sure.
So just for future, if someone wants to do a rear lot, so we're gonna go through the special permit process.
Yeah.
Subject to the public hearing. As far as plan contents, I know you kind of have the detail in the zoning, it's pretty clear. The one thing that, one of the, conditions is that you know, you can't have more than 10% along the access route from the frontage to where the house is.
Yeah.
So would you wanna see a plan with topography, do you just need a note on it?
Yeah, I would say topography,
Yeah, a
right?
couple lines at the intersection.
Just so we can see how it's going up. I know we had one, remember when we first started near your house that had some spots that were like just 10%, you know, they were pretty close, so it's good to see all of it.
So that kind of leads into my next question. So obviously, I think the intent of that is to avoid super steep slopes that like would make it unreasonable either to excavate out or like, you know, get a car up, especially in winter conditions. If there was a couple spots that exceeded, would we be able to show like a proposed,
Of course,
you know,
that's-
grading, like, hey, we know it's a little steep, but like obviously with, you know, earth moving equipment, you can flatten it out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, remember, it's for emergency vehicles too. It's not just the people that are living there.
Right.
If somebody needs, a fire truck needs to get up that road, they need to be able to make it up there.
Right, So I understand that, so, but that's what I'm saying is, like, sometimes you just have a small hump. Let's say the hump's maybe, I don't know, 30 feet wide, and it's like 2 feet too steep. Obviously, you could dig that out, and then now it's,
Yeah.
conforming.
We could put that in the
Yeah,
conditions.
Mr. Chair.
Yeah,
That's why it's a special permit. You have something you can't do, you propose it. This is how I can solve it. And then you-
Well, it wasn't clearly spelled out, so I just wanna make sure, could we propose
Yes.
also?
Yeah.
Yes, because that's the meaning of it, oh, with these conditions, I can't do it, so now you go on a special. On this special, you propose what you wanna do, and then we okay it, yes or
Okay.
no.
yeah.
That's the idea.
The other thing is runoff too, water runoff. That would be the other thing with a steep slope like that.
Right.
More than 10%, you're gonna get like
You don't want to create problems for your other neighbors too.
Right, yeah, we don't want them in here.
Just
I'm sure they
just
come in
keep
here
in
though.
mind, what's on your site, stays on your site.
Yeah,
Yeah,
If you
yeah,
try to keep that in your mind, and then you can work it
Yeah.
around.
yeah,
common sense.
Yeah.
principles.
yeah.
So the only other question I think I have, so one of the requirements was to have a 16-foot wide driveway, but it doesn't say it has to be paved. So, I mean, a lot of these rear lots, what you're gonna have to expect is that a lot of times, the house is gonna be pretty far back off the road. I mean, if you're paving a 500-foot or a 300-foot long driveway these days, that's a lot of money.
No, I
So,
don't think,
would-
there's nothing in here about it being paved.
That's with the highway surveyor and the driveway permits. You would have to get with him about that. So Jeremy Olson, talk to him about it, because he's the one that would approve the driveway permit.
You-
But based on the way it's written, it's not necessarily
Right,
required.
it doesn't
I mean, we
require.
could propose just a well-graded driveway.
Yeah, maybe you do the
Gravel
apron
driveway.
up to the road, maybe you pave like 5 or
A
10
small
feet.
section.
Yeah,
But the entire length doesn't, because 16 feet
No.
wide, that's kind of wide. You know, at the 2 inches, I mean, that's a lot of asphalt,
yeah,
to kind of get back from the distance. I mean, we're looking at like probably $20,000-$50,000 something.
Gee, yeah, yep,
All right, I just wanted to go over that, because I know that's a question that would come up with other people, so.
yeah. Yep, I think you're good with a, gravel, dirt, whatever. Yeah.
Okay, awesome, that's all I had, thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. All right,
No more in there?
no more A and Rs.
Yeah, I'll bring it next week, I couldn't get it done. I'll be back in 2 weeks.
Okay.
See you then.
Have a good
Yeah.
night.
All right, so next up is Jane Wyrick, Land Use Manager for Central Mass Regional Planning Commission, CMRPC. So we're still going through the draft zoning diagnostic process, and I think this time we were gonna talk about the bylaws with comments. So I have
Good
that.
evening.
Hello?
The last time we met in early December, I believe it was December 9th, you had not had a chance to look at the actual margin, and so you had wanted some additional time to look over that, in case you had any questions or comments. So
Right.
I didn't have a presentation prepared, but wanted to hear any comments you have.
Yeah, so I think we can just pull this up again. Do you want to run through the whole thing real quick, or do you have specific spots, comments? I'll say first of all, Jane, anywhere where you said like definitions, anything with definitions seems fine to me. Putting them all together and adding the ones you proposed adding, that seems fine.
Okay. As you mentioned, part of it was adding new definitions for any new state laws. And then if I started seeing a term or an acronym within the bylaws that wasn't defined, I recommended developing a definition for it.
Yeah. And some of this stuff, these bylaws have been around for a while, so like one comment is, why is a structure defined as 100 square feet, and then you said the building code is generally calls out 200 square feet. I don't know that we would have a problem with that being updated.
And we don't have to update it right now, we'll be going into the comprehensive zoning update, so we can address the comments then.
Yeah,
But
okay.
I am curious to hear your comments. Yeah, I believe under 200 square feet, it does not require a building permit, unless you start bringing electric in, then they need an electric permit.
Yeah, this word tourist court, which is which is basically a motel, like that can be removed.
Okay.
There's some other stuff in here. Oh, yeah, combining one family and single family, I guess it was, right? So it all reads the same?
To be consistent
Yeah.
in the terminology that you use. There was a conflict also between, one part of the bylaw referred to 2 to 4 family as multifamily, and then there was another section that said 2 or more units.
Okay. There's one comment about paving the apron on the rear lot, which I think is probably a good idea, having a requirement, like, I don't know, like 10 feet or something maybe, right from the road into the driveway, and then you can do dirt.
I think having the apron will really reduce the amount of gravel that's tracked onto the roadway.
Yeah. Oh, page 16, the planning board adopts the fee schedule.
Really? Okay.
Yep. Yeah, in fact, we've
In
had
most towns, I've seen Board of Selectmen doing that, so thank you for verifying.
it's kind of interesting. Yeah, we've already had a few meetings on that. You know, we've modified the fees over the years, at least 2 or 3 times now, right?
About?
I think BJ had come to the select board to modify,
BG did, yeah.
but those were, so the building inspector goes before the select board, but the planning board does not.
Okay, very good.
Oh, where was the one about? Oh, there was something about oil in the wind turbines. Oh, that's probably coming up.
What about storage?
No, I'll find it.
Mm,
Oh, the thing about the slope, I don't know, we'd have to probably talk about sloping on gravel pits. Yeah, there's some more measurements, sloping. I think these dimensions are in here, like 8, 6, 8, is to basically keep it from collapsing.
Okay,
And yeah, we should probably put vertical or horizontal in there. Definitions.
I know some communities I've worked with, they will allow one slope for cut slopes, and they want a shallower slope for fill slopes, just because the fill slope is not as stable as the cut slope.
Oh, interesting, okay.
I don't know if Derek has any thoughts on that.
Okay.
Well, your cut slope's not disturbed, so.
Okay, there's definitions, photovoltaic. Yeah, acronyms. Oh, this is a good point. I don't know if you saw this. We have these prices for each type of panel. We should put this in like a fee table. as opposed to the bylaw, because those prices are probably out of date by now.
Well, hopefully, they're not
So
gonna
when you-
put much more of these things in anywhere,
Yeah, but, yeah, just to cover us and make it easier to change.
And some communities prefer to keep the fees out of the bylaw, because if the fees change, then you have to amend the bylaw.
Yeah,
So they might just keep a reference saying, referring you to the fee schedule as set by the planning board.
I think that's a good idea, because then we can change the fee schedule as it changes.
yeah, update it frequently. So on page 53, the mill conversion overlay district, there is no municipal parking around there.
Okay,
That was 13.6.2. So whoever's in the mill's gotta provide parking.
okay. Thank you.
Stormwater bylaw might be a good thing to do at some point. Are there grants for
I'm
that?
sorry. Which one?
A stormwater bylaw, right?
There might be, because there's a lot of low-impact development, smart growth kind of stuff. I can check with our environmental team that's working on the hazard mitigation plan, and
Okay.
they might be doing a dual combined document.
Oh, here it is. So page 64, this is our wind bylaw, right? Yeah. So page 64, you have a comment about oils, hazardous materials, etc.
Okay,
That's not for a generator, that's actually for the, what do they call that thing at the top of a?
It's the turbine.
Yeah, but it's
Not
got
the
a
turbine,
name.
the housing.
That little
the
house
housing.
at the top, right? So that
Housing.
has oil and stuff inside of it.
oh, okay.
And one of our concerns was, you know, if something is damaged there and it starts leaking, we need to know about it.
Oh, okay, got it.
Because they have like, it's like a transmission, right? It's a gear reduction thing, right? So it's gonna have oil and stuff in it. Maybe they have a fire suppression system up there.
It's pretty good size, about the size of a bus.
Yeah,
Okay, very good.
I mean, I think,
Just know with like telecommunications facilities, they tend to all have backup generators with fuel tanks there on site.
I think a lot of people are pulling away from wind energy anyways.
yeah.
It's not popular because it's so expensive to produce.
Yeah. Well, the blades, was it off Nantucket, the blades broke on a couple of them?
Yeah. Few places where they've broken.
But if you go onto YouTube.
And then they
you
catch
can
on fire, and then the ones that are just all seized up, they don't move at all because
Yeah.
the maintenance isn't being done on them
Where they
because they're
freeze,
so expensive.
where they get ice and freeze and they're useless.
There you go.
So, I don't know, does anybody have any comments or specific? So Ed Londigan said he was gonna forward Laura comments tomorrow.
Okay.
He had a couple. I think in general, your comments look fine, so,
Very good.
I think so what's the next step?
So the next step, this will complete just the diagnostic portion. And I believe you did get the one-stop funding for the comprehensive zoning update. So
Yep.
once the town has contracted with the state, then we can contract with you to get the ball rolling. When we first meet, some of the things you might want to think about are, what are your priorities? Are there new bylaws that you think are most important? Are there things that you want to get to Springtown meeting, and maybe save some for the fall? I think we need to maybe strategize about, maybe splitting it all up. just so that not everything is together.
Yeah, we don't need an agenda of 40 to 50 items to be voted on, so,
At the town meeting.
yeah.
Yeah, so I think it's good to kind of strategize how you're gonna break them up and space them out.
Okay, all right. And Derek, so you're concerned about gravel pits? When we do this, we should put screening in there.
Yeah.
And better protections for the homeowners around there, around a gravel pit.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's not defined well enough, or if at all, right? It certainly didn't help,
It didn't help.
yeah. So that's one
Okay.
thing, Jane, we're gonna want, like, for example, with the earth removal gravel pit.
Okay.
In fact, I don't know, maybe, I mean, gravel pits under earth removal? I don't know, that bylaw, that section might be worth looking at.
Well, they're two separate things.
They're kind of two separate things, earth removal.
Because they're allowed to remove so much earth on their own without becoming a pit.
Right. And then there's a
There's so
pit,
much
which
per
is-
day.
Yeah, which is a bigger operation, right?
Right.
Yeah. And then one of
Is
the,
that more,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, so the limit per day, is that more about limiting truck traffic?
No, I think it's more about just removing topsoil from the town.
Well, they're allowed to take so
Okay.
much per day in so many trucks, depending on,
Yeah, I guess that would be for
So,
truck
yeah.
traffic too, yeah.
Okay,
And then one situation we came up against recently was just the fact that we would like to see some sort of screening called out in the bylaw. You know, if you have houses near a gravel pit, how do you protect those properties from looking at a gravel pit?
also
Right.
earth removal, because I believe that earth removal allows up to the property line.
Yeah, okay, so that's,
And we've had a situation where a business removed a large amount of earth right up to the property line. Well, the people's house is like 20 feet from the property line. So now it's sitting on an elevated position,
A cliff.
yeah.
a cliff.
wow,
So the-
So,
yeah,
no buffer.
The current, the current bylaw doesn't address this at all.
yeah.
So I think not only screening, but you're gonna wanna look at the slope between
Sure, yeah,
the site and the adjoining site, so you don't have a cliff type situation.
and it's interesting, this particular homeowner doesn't seem to mind, he's not
Well,
complaining.
they did everything they could do, but
Yeah, but the problem
they
is,
realized
well, and he may be okay
nothing was
with
in
it,
their favor.
but he may not be able to sell his house either.
Right.
Cause somebody else moving in there is like, no, I don't want this.
I'm not moving there.
Yeah, I mean, so it's,
Yeah.
even if they don't think it's a problem, it would protect, you know, homeowners.
Yeah, that's the
Well,
whole
it's also
point.
safety too,
Sure, yeah,
because now it's on the homeowner to establish something that's safe. And then what happens in something where you have, say, you know, runoff from rain, loss of land, because now your property is washing down the hill. How do you restore your property when it's going down the side of a cliff now?
and if it keeps creeping.
And it
closer
keeps
to
on
the
creeping
house.
closer and closer to the house. What do you
Right.
do? Because the person that did it, yeah, they could do it. Whether it was right or wrong is different, but being a homeowner, it puts you in a bad situation.
Yeah,
All right,
okay,
well, I look forward to getting to work on actually implementing the updates, and I'm sure we'll be meeting again fairly soon.
okay,
How
Thank you so
about,
much.
hold on a minute.
just came my idea. Remember the other day, we find out that someone is gonna do a selective tree cutting in the hill.
Mhm.
Now we have no say, because that's been approved. But how can we protect the water runoff of that if something like that happens some other place?
Well, they're supposed to be going through the state and getting a logging permit.
Yeah, like a tree cutting plan,
And
right?
when they go and evaluate the property, they're supposed to look at that, factor that in. You know, whether they're doing their job on the permit.
Yeah, whether they do or not, I don't know.
So, but can we add some say
Yeah,
and
maybe.
protect?
Well, I don't think we have anything saying people can't log their property.
Not log, but leave a buffer. Like in all the other places, you know, if they have a 200 feet buffer of natural vegetation, it doesn't matter. If they cut the middle, will still,
Yeah,
Right now, we don't have anything addressing
yeah.
like select logging or logging of properties or anything like that. And, you know, I think that's gonna be a kind of a sticky subject because
What-
people
what-
wanna be able to log their properties.
And maybe the state's gonna say, you can't say that.
Well,
Jane would, I mean, they'll know, I guess, what we're
yeah,
doing.
because the permit comes from the state,
Hmm.
so, the forestry management.
Do you know, Jane, can we do stuff with
Not offhand,
logging?
but I can research that as part of the comprehensive zoning update. And I would think in addition to adding language regarding the buffer and being selective about the logging, no clear cutting, you're also gonna want erosion control measures like putting around hay bales or straw wattles or something to try to keep anything from
Yeah, okay,
running down.
yeah,
But I'll see what else the state requires, because as long as isn't in conflict with what the state requires, you should be able to enact your own bylaw.
yeah, because I have a friend and they have a beautiful backyard. And then next year when I went, somebody did this selective cutting and it looked terrible.
Well, that's because the logging trucks, when they're driving through there, they're so heavy in the tires, cut channels through. And that turns into a stream.
yeah,
And the water just creates that path, and now it just starts going through that path. And that's, you know, unintentionally or whatever, that's a new stream now, because
Yeah,
it's what
runoff.
created it, yeah.
yeah.
I just
I
wouldn't-
have several, when they do the logging down by my house, before they did this, the select logging, there was areas that were completely pristine, there was no streams or anything, it was just flat land, and then just them driving in and out of there, just cut channels through the road, and caused it to be a stream now, so.
Yeah, if you could find out if we can have a little control of protecting neighbors, buffer zones on that kind of project would be good.
And I could see that tying into the steeper driveways too. I know you had mentioned having something that's not too steep for the fire department, but if they're having to do switchbacks, you want to make sure that the turning radius as you're
Yeah.
turning back isn't too tight for the emergency equipment.
We
either.
actually denied a special permit for a solar project a while back because of that. Because of the driveway that was, it was serpentine pad and going in and up, and it was going up pretty steep hill. And you need to be able to have fire equipment that can come down the hill and also go up it, and it just couldn't
Yeah,
negotiate it. So it just
Right.
couldn't be done.
yeah.
Understandable.
The other thing, and I forgot to ask,
Yeah,
our use chart,
yes.
I wanted to ask Joyce about this. So according to Joyce on conservation, our use chart is a little odd because I think it's, a lot of towns that she's seen, it's kind of flipped. I think they put what is disallowed on the use chart, and in that zone, everything else is allowed.
Oh.
Where ours is more like, here is what's allowed. And it's not clear on what's disallowed, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and one of my comments had been to consider completing the table because there are a lot of blank spots under
yeah.
the MDOD and MCOD. So it wasn't clear to me whether, because on the other, like the rural residential and the other districts, every spot was filled out. So I think just consistency,
Yeah,
if you want to do it so that, some of them are not identified, that means they're not allowed, as long as we're doing it the same under each district,
okay, all right.
whatever your preference is.
It's possible we may have to add some lines in here then for the major development overlay district, because that supports a bunch of stuff. Hotels, why, I mean, we have hotels, but, there's a whole bunch of uses that's allowed over there, so.
Okay. We will go over that as part of the process too.
All right,
And I will watch for that email tomorrow, Laura.
Absolutely. Once I get that, I will forward it right along to you.
I'm sure you will. You're so on top of it.
I try.
all right.
Well, thank you all.
Anything else?
No, thank you.
All right,
Thank you.
thank you, Jane.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Have a good night.
You too.
Thanks, Jane.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye. All right, so we have a special permit application for 727 Brimfield Road, which is, it's Ronnie Cox and Andrew
Merkin.
Merkin.
I will be sending that along to you all tomorrow. I have it all scanned and together. I just didn't want it to get muddled up with tonight's meeting docs.
Yeah, that's fine.
And cause more confusion.
So that's gonna have to be at least 3 weeks out, because you need a week to be able to post it, and it has to be posted for 2 weeks.
Yes, so I
So
spoke
we're
with.
looking at like a month from now.
I
to
spoke
be
with
safe.
Turley this morning about their publication turnarounds. So the earliest, as of today, the earliest possible publication date for a hearing notice would be February 6th, which would then have a February 24th hearing time. And that's the soonest. So the deadline is March 28th, so we have some wiggle room based on everyone's schedules, but February 24th would be the earliest possible hearing.
So it'd either be the 24th or the 10th we'd want to do, right? March 10th.
You can't do the 10th, it'd be too close. Oh, March 10th.
Yeah, March 10th. So do you think you can get it all together for the 24th? Or do you want to wait for the 10th just to?
Do you have everything at this moment?
Yeah,
That's the key question, because if you can answer that, then you can go forward with the 24th. But if you don't have everything you need,
or if you're not sure.
Yeah, I would recommend just building in a little wiggle room,
Yeah.
just sort of,
Just in case.
just sort of. I'm not a new kid just to how the world works, so if I can build in a little wiggle room just for everyone's sake on every level of this,
Okay,
I would just, and I mean, as silly as it sounds, just I would hate to be like, oh yeah, we're good to go for the 24th, and then the person at the newspaper is out sick and can't get it turned around and
Yeah.
posted.
And then we
It
have-
happens.
So March 10th is safe.
Yeah, let's do March
Yeah,
10th.
March 10th.
Yep. Alrighty, March 10th it is. January 13th, 2025 minutes. Is there a motion?
I can't, I wasn't here.
Ah, okay,
I'll make a motion to
And I
approve
was
the,
only here via Zoom.
that's okay.
I make a motion to accept the meeting minutes for January 13th, 2025.
Is there a second?
I second,
All in favor?
Drew King, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye.
Richi Hacker, aye. That carries. Any bills or payroll?
Yes. 1 second. Jotting down my motion info. There is just one payroll submission for signature for the planning board administrative assistant, myself, for the pay period ending January 25th, 2025 for $694.72.
All right, is there a motion to pay that?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Drew King, aye.
Derek Bailey's aye.
David Dufresne, aye.
Richi Hacker, aye. We haven't gotten any bills from OTO. I wonder if they're
I haven't gotten
not-
any invoices since the
Is-
last round that,
Mr. Dufresne, is that site quiet over there now? Beaman Road, Agilitas?
I haven't been doing anything.
Yeah.
They've been going in there with some trucks, but, I think they're biding their time because they're trying to get hookup. And I don't know what's going on with their connection, cause they get a connect down Route 9 into Brimfield. So, well,
Or, no, in
Hardwood.
West Brookfield.
yeah, they're going down Route 9, and there's that,
Oh, I know what you're talking, yeah, yeah.
substation down there. Going into Ware.
So
That's where-
there is like a tree cutting hearing in West Brookfield or something for that, and
And
there's a
people
lot
have been
of opposition.
Yeah, a lot of opposition.
Yeah.
Which is, hey,
Tomorrow is the meeting. In the,
is it?
Senior Center.
In the senior center.
Oh, wow.
What time?
6, I think?
Yeah,
6:30?
Yeah.
You're going, right?
Hmm? It's in West Brookfield.
Yeah.
I'm not a West Brookfield resident.
You don't have to be a resident.
I already put my.
How many of these things we show up to and we weren't even residents?
Yeah.
I already put my 2 cents worth in on Facebook saying you can fight this if you really want to. You just have to.
So it's tomorrow at 6, January 27 at 6 at the senior center. It's another meeting about the tree removal and telephone poles being installed on a scenic road.
Mhm.
Ooh, that's kind of a big problem for them if that doesn't fly. What do they do then?
Not my problem.
Exactly.
They can't run their electricity, I guess. You got a whole bunch of panels up in there, and maybe the residents can just hook into them, and there we go.
Yeah.
Put them to use.
Yeah, I will propose that all the neighbors who got, bothered with all this construction get all the power.
Yeah. Free electricity.
Yeah, because none of that, those lines don't go into Warren. They come up, but the other problem that they have is not only are they dealing with West Brookfield, but they also have to deal with conservation. Because mass conservation, a lot of that land is conservation land.
Oh.
And then.
And a lot of it's wet.
Then you also got the Historical Society because it's going right through Lucy Stone's home site.
Hmm.
So,
They weren't thinking.
And I did a photo shoot last year over there, and it was very, very muddy.
Yeah, yeah.
All that area got so muddy.
Hmm.
yep,
It's not dry anymore.
no,
All right, I'll try and touch base with OTO and just see, because they should have fixed the basin.
they should have fixed the basin, and
I know, right?
OTO should have been saying something because they were supposed to be out there, but they were also supposed to notify us when they were gonna be starting to do the basin.
Yeah, I don't know what,
Did we ever get any notification from them saying that they were gonna start repairing the basin? Or
We-
dig it out?
we did, and we talked about it in a meeting, but it was November? Maybe, like it
Yes,
was
no,
long.
that's when we decided, because
we approved their plan.
Oh, maybe, so,
Because they
and
have to
maybe-
tear out the whole basin, rebuild it.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe they were planning on starting in December.
Can't, it's frozen.
Yeah, I'm,
I think.
And I'll tell you right now, that stuff up there right now is solid rock. Compared, that mud is frozen.
Yeah, after 0
We've had some
degrees.
really cold snaps,
yeah.
Yeah,
so,
Yeah, they had followed up, but it's hasn't been recent enough that it's like, oh yes, I talked to them 2 days ago. It's like it's
Yeah,
been a while since.
but they're
there's somebody we gotta keep an eye on.
Yeah, okay, I'll touch base with OTO. All right, any new business,
No, sir.
old business?
Yes. Any news on Coparts? Nothing?
All right, so I was able to, took some digging. I was able to find the amended decision for Copart. And they, per the amended decision, they are not able to do any groundbreaking or excavation prior to April 15th. And we have not received, in the building department side of my life, we have not received anything from them.
Okay,
So they have a bunch of stuff to do, basically they have a bunch of conditions they have to meet prior
Right.
to issuance of a building permit. Haven't even reached out for a building permit to see what they need
Okay.
to submit, where should I mail things. So basically, they have been radio silent on both sides of this.
So one of those things is we should look into that, because they clear cut that land already. So that land's all clear.
Is it?
And if they're putting vehicles over on that side where, you know, this applies, you shouldn't be putting anything over there right now.
no,
And they are, yeah, so no groundbreaking or excavation shall occur between November 1st through April 15th, except for tree cutting.
Well, they had the
So-
trees cut a long time ago.
Yeah, so, you know,
yeah,
depending
okay,
on what they're up to.
okay.
Um,
Yeah, so there's supposed to be, so they need a building permit, they need a pre-construction meeting, we need
Mhm.
to find a, monitoring company, you know, there's a few things that need to happen, so.
So they haven't reached out at all. Would you, basically, would the planning board like to reach out to them to give them a nudge and see what they're
Yeah,
trying to
yeah,
do?
if you could contact somebody over there, I don't know who the guy we used to deal with, the general manager's gone.
He left.
Yeah, so there's somebody, I think it's a
It's a
woman,
lady.
yeah. Anything with the ZPT sidewalk coordinating Bill and,
So it's down to just the board at this point.
oh,
Yeah, it took me a while to hear back from the, took some chasing to hear back from the peer reviewers who now have a conflict of interest and have sort of recused themselves.
How do they have a conflict of interest?
They
Our
are
peer
now-
reviewers.
They basically sort of dropped per their explanation, which I believe I forwarded to you, Rich.
Yeah.
They after sort of everything sort of stalled out in 2022
with the lawsuit.
and with the lawsuit and everything, I think they stopped working on things as far as and now they have picked up another I want to say case but that's not the right word, but sort of another client that will be appearing in front of the town, potentially in front of Concom or some such that
So do we have to pick a new peer reviewer for up there?
No, I mean, I think it's done at this point. I mean, they were mostly working with conservation anyway, so. And I know conservation's all set, so I think,
and then on the
I don't know how conservation could be all set, because they opened up a new spring up there, so they got a nice little stream running down the middle of this whole field.
I don't know, they were up there in December, maybe, November, December?
I think it was December,
Yeah,
just off of my recollection. And then basically I was able to I was like, okay, well, that rules that out. That's one variable removed. And then on the building end, I guess for the COC to be released, the plan is that building and likely fire and electrical will all go up together, do their final review, and do the COC at that point. So
so they're waiting on us then?
if you all go up there and have any specific questions or concerns, that sort of crew, inspectional services, I guess, will sort of go out and take a look at anything specifically concerning, and if not, they will go and do
Okay.
their final, like, official inspection and then potential COC release
Okay.
on that.
I'd be concerned to see if there's, broken panel glass lying around the site, because that was one of the things we noted when we were up there before, is they had broken panels lying there and just lying on the ground, and they weren't putting them in a container,
Yeah.
so we had to address that.
Yeah, so basically, I guess sort of, you know, if at a site walk, you all have concerns, questions, whatever, like submitted, basically asked to submit it in writing as sort of like a more formalized process so that there can be a
Well, when
formal
do we need to
response
get
to
this
things.
done, because these site walks during the winter really don't, you can't see much. And you get snow all over the ground covering up what you wanna see.
Yeah.
You know, I think this is something that should be spring. Is it something that can wait till spring?
So the discussion, you know, with, basically for planning board next steps was site walk, you know, sooner than later, but certainly New England winters are, you know,
Yeah.
there wasn't a deadline proposed or discussed.
Okay.
I think it was
Well,
just sort
looking
of
at like
at
end of
availability.
March, beginning of April.
Yeah.
because, you know, certainly just logic dictates that it wouldn't be,
Yes.
you know, the wisest site walk when everything's buried under 3 feet of snow.
Right.
Yeah, so you want, okay, so let's punt a little bit and, how about at like our March 24th meeting? You wanna do it then? We can figure out a time at that meeting.
Yeah.
Cause that's the end of March, and then we'll know a little better what the conditions are like. So we could do it sometime in April. Yeah, so if you could just put like a note on the March 24th meeting to
Yep.
talk about the site walk.
And the only other thing, how's the information from the solar companies coming?
I haven't heard anything, but also I haven't received any, you know, undeliverable return to sender
You need to,
kind of things.
you need to send them a letter that
So-
says second notice.
Yes,
Yeah,
so,
yeah,
And
I'm
then
like-
2 weeks after, you know,
oh yes.
a certified
But
notice.
basically, at this point, no one has the excuse of saying we didn't receive it.
Right,
Because
right.
we have received no proof that
Well, it's
something
probably
was
like
not able to be
Some of these are
delivered.
on their third or fourth corporation owning them probably now.
yeah.
Yep.
And it took a little bit of doing to chase down the current, you know, current ownership, even just from last year. There were multiple updates of.
It's crazy.
And then like LLCs always like shift around and move
How
and.
can you
It's a
make
commodity, they're
Yeah.
selling.
insane?
That's why is, can't chase anybody. You can't pin anybody down
Yeah.
to doing
Oh,
this.
you don't know who to pin down.
Right.
All right, any other old business?
764 Main Street plans?
Have not heard back. I'll follow up again.
Oh,
We need the floor plan
yeah, right,
and their operations.
okay,
Who's that for?
next
The
gen.
Next gen?
Next gen.
Oh, yeah. You've been doing work over there.
Well, one thing we did talk about, right, is they need stuff to send to the registry that we have, right?
I'm not positive if they have picked up their
Right,
info to bring to the registry.
so we're gonna hold on to that and we'll exchange that
Yeah.
for plans. All right, comments and concerns?
No comments?
Nothing?
No?
Any comments or concerns, sir? When's the meeting gonna end? Okay, so, Our next meeting date is February 10th.
And I will not be here, just so you
What?
know. I'm not gonna be in the country. Gonna be
Cruise.
gone. But I will be there for the next one.
You're gonna be on Zoom though, right, on the 10th?
Gonna be out of the country on the 10th.
With a margarita and, you know. All right. Would anyone like to?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second,
All in favor?
Derek Bailey's aye.
Drew King, aye.
David Dufresne, aye?
Richi Hacker, aye. We are adjourned.